All right, let's talk about Ukraine. And again, a lot of respect for your service, but I want to kind of frame your frustration that we're putting all this money and all this effort and all these weapons into Ukraine, and you believe that there's no clear definition of victory. I don't disagree with that idea, but I have a question about the application of the idea. Like you, I spent a lot of time. You were serving the country. I was watching people serve the country in the war on terror, which was defined victory as what? A battle against an idea that manifested itself in one group after another, in one region after another. But I don't remember people coming out against that war. Why are you worried about what victory is here?
Well, you haven't been following me, that's for sure. I was opposed to the war in Iraq, and I was for us minimizing our effort in Afghanistan since '04. I've been critical, highly critical of the approach in the war on terror. Frankly, the smart way to do it is the way that they fought ISIS in Syria, which was an economy of force mission. We found strategic targets like al-Baghdadi. We fixed him and destroyed him. We could have killed him or captured him. He didn't want to be captured, so now he's dead. We didn't occupy the country. We didn't focus on rebuilding it. We didn't drive down the same supply routes every day and get our young men and women killed in ambushes and act surprised that they got ambushed. That was the stupidest way in the world to fight the war. The Iraq war was not well waged, and part of that is they didn't define a mission. They weren't held accountable for it. That's how George W. Bush could fly a banner that said mission accomplished, and most of the world knew, no, it's not.
Right.
The mission is not accomplished.
I don't disagree with any of that. And also, I think it's worthy of note that at least once you were against reauthorizing an authorization for use of military force, which has been a big issue for me. I think that you guys should all be on record in voting on the AUMF. Congress is supposed to own it, not the president. That's been power that's been abdicated, in my opinion, to the executive from the legislative. The reason I wanted that is, while I respect your position there, it seems like we're doing better with what's happening in Ukraine because there's even more of a proxy effect. It's not our blood on the ground there being sacrificed to a cause of even potential unknown value. We're letting the Ukrainians fight. We're supporting them in their cause against what is a clear inimical force in Russia. Why isn't that enough to satisfy your feelings about contributing?
Well, look, there are ways you could wage a just war in Ukraine. And look, for the people of Ukraine, I understand if your country's occupied, why they want to fight. The question is, why is America involved in Ukraine? And, the resources that we would need to commit are different depending on the outcome. If the mission is to make sure the war doesn't spread to NATO, well, that's a different set of resources than if the mission is to make sure there are no Russians in Ukraine, which is a different set of resources if no Russians in Ukraine, including Crimea. And if you go all the way to the extreme where Victoria Nuland at the State Department is, you go to regime change in Russia and war crimes tribunals, including for Vladimir Putin. That's a nearly unlimited war because it involves unconditional surrender for Russia and Vladimir Putin. So entirely different resource allocations needed depending on which mission you want to choose. And by offering an open checkbook to Ukraine, we're doing what Senator Warner said is, yeah, we're killing Russians and it's Ukrainians killing them, but we're also getting Ukrainians killed. So we're not giving them the hope to victory. We're not getting them a mission that they maybe think they're fighting for. We're just grinding down the Russian army, but it's coming at the expense of the Ukrainian people. So while I think there's a way to wage a just war there, I don't think it's being waged justly.
So you're not about get out of Ukraine, I don't want to be there anymore. You want more focus, more leadership, and more direction to justify the involvement. You want to help. It's just about why and how.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm out on most of those long missions. I think our interest is to make sure the war doesn't spread to NATO, and we should be able to help them have some resources. And I think the other thing we should be doing with this is defining to NATO. You should be clear that our obligation to NATO is not to fight your war for you or to fund your war for you. Our obligation as a member of NATO is to support you in your own war effort. And we're not making that clear to the people of NATO.
Hey, thank you for watching. please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.